NASCAR 2 champion that sits on pole position, the reigning EuroNASCAR Pro champion that sits alongside 2 times former champion Alan Day on row number 2, with Guillaume de Flandre for company. As the cars see the red lights come on, the man on the gantry waves the green flag, and away we go. It looks though it's a good start from Lasse Sorensen for the lead of the race. Alan Day is trying to haul himself alongside Loris Hazemans, but they break side by side for the lead of the race up towards turn number 1 for the first time. Sorensen has the inside line for the first corner. Hazemans has it for the second. Sorensen will have it for the third and the fourth corner. And then the pendulum swings back in favour of Loris Hazemans, so if he can brave it out round the outside, he might stand half a chance, but now he needs to concentrate his efforts on trying to keep double former champion Alan Day sitting behind, who is desperate to haul his way up through the points, having missed the previous round at Zandvoort a few weeks ago. But Lasse Sorensen leads the race, almost contact there between Hazemans, the tail end of his car, and the front end of the PK Car Sport Chevy of Alan Day. But the top 3 all absolutely together. Guillaume de Flandre still sits there in 4th position, and 5th at the moment is going to be car number 208, which is going to be Leonardo Colavita, who is the American-based Italian nowadays. But Loris Hazemans settling himself down into 2nd position. You said earlier on this evening that you look at the likes of Loris Hazemans and Alan Day. You know, Alan's had a couple of heat wins, but he's not had a main race win. And Loris Hazemans, I think, is yet to take a victory in whether it be a heat or the main race so far this year.
Yes, we have a lot of big names that are doing very, very well with their consistency, getting a lot of top 3s, top 5s, but there's still lack of winning away. So Sorensen, Hazemans, they all should be in the victory lane someday in the virtual world. They're all so incredibly fast. So I think, yeah, the chances are high that we see the 5th winner today, including the prologue. This would be great for the whole championship. We see this competition is so tight. We have a lot of guys capable of winning. I said it before. And it's just phenomenal how those guys adopting, being real race car drivers, and now due to the forced break, they are doing very, very well in the virtual world as well.
They certainly are, yeah. We just saw a mistake there for Nave Talla, who I think got a little bit late on the brakes, and then there was a secondary bit of contact which pitched him into a spin. We're now looking at Brian Crowells running car number 378, a team member with Brax Racing. Brian, who is another one of those drivers we've seen at the wheel of his Ford go really well throughout the course of this year. Ben Kriener has made good progress at the wheel of his car. He started in 8th place, the 17-year-old Scotsman, and is now up into 6th position. But the one driver who's gained more places than anybody, former member of the EuroNASCAR media team, Max Palumbo, is up 5 places, having started 18th. He's up to 13th position, Andre.
Ah, yes, the Italian giant Max Palumbo. Was great to work with him. He has now different stuff to do in motorsports, so it's great to see him back in the virtual world. He's still the press officer of Solaris Motorsports. That's why he's driving the 312 car. And Max is a great guy in real life, and he's also a passionate race car driver in the virtual world. I've seen his rig at home. He's really, really professional equipped. So let's see if he's as fast as his equipment.
Mistake there from Guillaume de Flandre has allowed Leonardo Colavita and almost Ben Kriener to squeeze his way through, but de Flandre just gets the car back on the tarmac and closes off any attack from Ben Kriener. So that's 3 now, fighting for 5th, 6th and 7th place. De Flandre, Ben Kriener and Brian Crowells that sits behind. So they turn their way through what is the next long sweeping left-hander. Ben Kriener now coming under attack from Brian Crowells. If you're not familiar with the numbering of the cars, well, those cars numbered 0 to 99 are for drivers that race in EuroNASCAR Pro. Numbers 100 to 199, those that race in EuroNASCAR 2. Cars that are in the 200s are for EuroNASCAR Club Challenge drivers. That used to be known as Elite Club. As Ben Kriener gets tagged by Brian Crowells and gets spun around. That was at turn number 7, I think that was, or 8, where the contact was made. So Ben Kriener's got work to do, and that's allowed Chris Lehman now to work his way through. He runs a car that is number 300, as does the car he just managed to get by as well, Brian Crowells. They are therefore EuroNASCAR team members, and cars that run in the 400s are the EuroNASCAR circuits, our guests, and the team members of the FJ All-Stars team. So that gives you an idea as to how the numbering works. Chris Lehman under enormous pressure from Brian Crowells, and Chris, there's another driver that you know very well with the media work that he does, Andre.
Yes, right. He's the media guy for Motor Sports. He's familiar with racing. He did karting. He's new to the virtual world, indeed. So we see that he's incredibly fast. So maybe put him in a wheel car someday as well, because I think he got his system 1 or 2 weeks ago. So very nice and interesting development on his side. And yeah, he's the media guy from Motorsport, doing a good job. Just check out all the team's social media pages. You see they have good guys in their ranks that are doing a tremendous job to get the EuroNASCAR thing, the whole adventure, to the fans as close as possible.
And I think that's the thing I've liked about the EuroNASCAR Esports Series, in conjunction with iRacing, with support from i.cin.com and Sim Racing League TV, is that it brings the teams together, the media together, the drivers together, and it really has been, I think, quite unique in terms of the esports series that are out there. Look at the fight that's still going on, though, for second and third position. Lassie Sorensen has just checked out a little bit now, so he is just managing to pull away from this car here. Loris Haseman's at the wheel of the Hendricks Ford. He is the highest driver in the championship standings that hasn't had a win as yet, Loris Haseman. He sits second on the road. He's third in the standings coming into this race, having had a third, a fourth and a fifth position. As his 3 points scoring finishes has Loris Haseman's, but that elusive win is still as yet to come. Here's Brian Crowells again. Now he's having a little nibble at Gordon Barnes, and it looks as though he might just get it on the exit of this next corner, because the next corner that's coming up is a right-hander again, which means that Brian Crowells has the inside line. Gordon Barnes, I think, just made a little bit of contact there. I just saw the front of his car leap into the air very briefly on my screen, so there might have been the lightest touch of contact between the pair of them, but looks as though the car of Brian Crowells has now gone through, has taken up the position. So the Belgian fullback Brax Racing brings the Ford up into 6th position. Gordon Barnes down into 7th. He started 10th anyway, so it's still a good run from him. Let's just have a quick look. Brian Crowells gets a really, really good run coming round through that latter part of the circuit. Back to Aurélien Dillier, and he gets very sideways. Big accident, and unfortunately takes out what is Jakob Krafek at the wheel of the Autodrome Most show car. Another one of our circuit representatives there. So that's 2 cars that tangled up with each other. And that was exactly at that part of the circuit that you were talking about, Andre, where you're hard on the gas, you're shifting up through the gears, and you've got the transition from the road course to the banked oval.
Yes, right. You have to be very, very sensitive there. And Jakub Krafek, yeah, of course, you have pressure in the race. You want to be very fast. You don't want to be overtaken. So you take the risk, and yeah, that didn't play out. But take a look at 10th place. There's Navi Talor back in the competition to get to the main race.
He's going beautifully well, is Navi Talor, working his way up through the order, and he is now in the automatic qualification places again. Now is Navi Talor. He's managed to haul himself up into 10th position, ahead of Luca Caniore, who is one of the leading lights behind Cal Racing, who again are going to be another very busy team in the championship as and when we get it going. He's the team manager for Cal Racing, and has done a fair chunk of esports racing with us over the course of the last few weeks. But Navi Talor, what a good charge back up through the field. Back to Brian Crowells, who still sits there in 6th position. Gordon Barnes again is giving him a thing or two to think about. The two of them have been remarkably evenly matched over the course of this race so far, but there's only another, a minute and a quarter to go before the checkered flag will fall. So time is running out, but as we said earlier on, the most important thing is get yourself inside the top 10. As long as you're inside the top 10, that is automatic qualification. And one driver that surprises me that he is outside of the top 10 and not heading towards that automatic qualification is Vittorio Garelli, who is back with us again. Vittorio, I'm guessing, Andre, maybe not a lot of esports experience, because he's a fantastically quick driver and has been hugely successful in his career. But in the NASCAR Esports Series, he just seems to have struggled a little bit. Yeah,
I totally agree. He won the only oval race in 2019 at Raceway Venray in the Netherlands. He did a tremendous job there, but I think that shows us that the transition from real racing to the virtual world is not as easy as it seems. Of course, there are some things that are very close to each other, but there's also differences between wheel racing and simulators. In simulators, you have all the feedback in the wheels and the pedals. In the real world, you have also the feeling of the whole car, the G-forces on your body. All of this is not part of simulator racing. And that's why some real drivers may struggle a little bit being race car drivers in the virtual world. So I guess that Vittorio Chiarelli is one of those guys who is definitely a better driver in the real world because he's doing a lot of stuff because of his feelings, and those feelings are still not there in the sim race.
We're nearly at the end of the race now as well. Out of turn 11, up towards turn number 12 comes Lassie Sorensen, Loris Hazemans and Alan Day. The top three looking equidistantly spread at this stage, but the 10 minutes has clicked through. It does look as though Lassie Sorensen is on for another heat win here. Lassie Sorensen, he is a driver who, in fact, it will be his first heat win, Lassie Sorensen. He claimed victory in the last chance race at Brands Hatch, but he's not had a heat win so far this year. Well, he has now because he's taken the checkered flag. Loris Hazemans in second place, Alan Day in third, Colavita and De Flandre fourth and fifth. Brian Crowles comes through and finishes in sixth position. Did pull away from Gordon Barnes in the closing stages of that one. Chris Lehman is automatically through in eighth place. Ben Kriener is ninth, and Navi Talor might have sort of made a brief mistake in the braking for turn number one and had a part spin as well, but that is a good charge for the Israeli driver for Solaris Motorsport back up through the order to grab the last automatic qualification place. So Lassie Sorensen has done what he has failed to do at the prologue event at Daytona, at Brands Hatch, at Watkins Glen or at Zandvoort. He has finally won a heat.
Yes, finally. And I think the DF1 crew is celebrating at home right now. We had Norbert Walchhofer a little bit earlier in this broadcast, and they're taking this sim racing stuff very, very seriously because it's about wheel championship points, and having Lasse Sørensen not only leading the championship, now also winning a heat race is something very special for the Tigers from Austria.
Yeah, they'll be hugely pleased with that. We'll be able to grab a word with Lassie very shortly. I would have thought he will come and join us in the commentary box, but he'll be as pleased as punch with that one. We'll head towards heat number 3 very, very shortly. We'll get confirmation of the results as well for heat number 2 coming up. And there they are. Lassie Sorensen claims the win for DF1 Racing, and Hendricks Motorsport, Loris Hazemans was second. Alan Day was in third position with Leonardo Colavita in fourth. Guillaume de Flandre was in fifth, and Brian Crowles makes it 6 different teams out of the top 6, and in fact even in 7th place, that's another new team as well. Marco Steep, 7 different teams inside the top 7. Gordon Barnes is in 7th place, Chris Lehman is in 8th place, Ben Kriener 9th, and Navi Talor confirmation finishes in the top 10. Vittorio Chiarelli, Luca Caniore, Max Palumbo, Roy Hendricks, Yevgeny Sokolovsky, Ariana Cassidy, Aurelien Dillier and Jakub Krafek will all have to fight it out in the last chance qualification race, which will be coming up